So did you know that if you are a farmer, a grower, or manage agricultural land, you can now get paid to add carbon amendments like biochar and compost to help increase the health and output of your soil, improve plant growth, reduce nutrient costs, reduce water consumption? I mean, all things that not only give you better quality crops, but can help you save money and increase your net revenue. Well, what we're talking about is the NRCS Soil Amendment Code 336. This is a federally funded program by the NRCS, the National Conservation Resource Service, which is a federal agency within the USDA that will pay farmers, ranchers, and growers to put biochar into their soil. This includes not only the cost of biochar, but other aspects of application like labor, transportation, and materials. In this video, we will go over a brief and high-level summary of the program that was originally communicated in a 2-day, 8-hour seminar put on by the USBI, the United States Biochar Initiative, and the NRCS in early January 2023. Please note that I do not work for the USDA or NRCS. I am not an expert in how the code was written. I'm simply trying to help summarize the seminar so that farmers, growers, ranchers, and conservationists can get a quick grasp of the program and its benefits and help determine if it's a fit for them to learn more. So the graphics I show are screenshots from presentations that are listed publicly by the USDA from the 2-day seminar led by USBI, which is published on YouTube. I will put all related links in the description below. So if you're new to biochar, well, it's a highly porous black carbon material that is created by putting woody or agricultural biomass into a kiln that uses pyrolysis. High heat, low oxygen. Biochar has been around for thousands of years and used in indigenous practices. It created the dark, fertile soil still found in the Amazon basin today called terra preta. Biochar as a product in modern times and as a commercial industry is in its early stages, but it is ready to scale. On the data side, there are now over 25,000 published articles on the science of biochar. So many more of them in the last few years, sharing results related to soil quality, carbon sequestration, reducing water needs, increasing plant yields, increase of soil organic carbon and soil organic matter, remediating toxic metals from the soil, and more. The challenge is that in the past, in the beginning of the industry, and still even some players today, around biochar can get pretty zealous and overpromise results. And often either the sellers don't fully communicate or the buyers aren't fully aware of the differences in quality, characteristics, and scenarios for biochar application, which all relate to results. Biochar can be beneficial when applied correctly to the right type of soil, as you will see in the USDA's validation for inclusion in this program. Not all biochars are alike. Putting the wrong type of biochar in certain soil can be detrimental. Matching the right type with the right soil can be great. You need to choose the right type of biochar for your type of soil and crop. You need to be clear on your goals and how to apply it. Tools to help you do this will be covered later in the video. So for a little context, here is a slide from the USDA that covers some of the benefits of biochar. First, it's a recalcitrant form of carbon. Recalcitrant meaning, it resists change. It resists decomposition. Biochar is a way to sequester carbon to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The production of biochar itself is the first level of carbon sequestration because biomass that would otherwise get burned or emit carbon dioxide gets turned to a stable carbon material that can be put and stored in the ground for hundreds or even thousands of years. The difference here versus other forms of carbon removal is related to the fact that once applied to the soil, biochar creates a building block for many other good things to happen. These other good things can include increasing available water holding capacity, how much water the crop can hold, improving pH, improving soil structure and fluid transmission, reduce bulk density, and increase nutrient capacity. This leads to the goal of the NRCS Soil Amendment Code 336 and relative funding because the NRCS is all about conservation. It wants to, quote, help farmers, ranchers, foresters, and other land managers effectively manage, conserve, and appraise their most valuable investment, the soil. The goal of the NRCS 336 is a conservation practice standard where the definition is the application of carbon-based amendments from plant residues or animal byproducts, and the purpose is to accomplish one of the following: improve or maintain soil organic matter, sequester carbon and enhance carbon stocks, improve soil aggregate stability, and improve habitat for soil organisms. So as you can see, the program is founded on the ability to solve for a resource concern. If there's a concern about a resource on your land, this program wants to help and pay you to fix it. Some examples of resource concerns could be, think about whether or not you have any of these problems. Aggregate instability, compaction, concentration of salts or other chemicals. Maybe you've lost habitats for organisms in the soil or your soil has been degraded. You have inefficient irrigation water use, which is pretty much all of agriculture. Everyone wants to and needs to conserve water. or maybe you have issues with plant productivity and health. So it's no secret that a lot of our land and soil has been degraded over the years, and many plots of land and farms may have these issues. With the 336, you can pick and choose the resource concerns that you want to help solve for on your land. The NCRS doesn't force or choose it for you. You pick what you want to solve based on your goals. So if you want to get paid to put biochar in your soil, here's an overview of the process. First, you choose a resource concern that you have that can be treated with biochar, and you come up with a conservation plan that you will submit to the NCRS. They did mention that local NCRS offices and agents will and can support this process. Then you need to verify your eligibility, get a program contract, implement your biochar, have the implementation verified, and get paid. You get your reimbursement. Now for eligibility, well, there's a lot more to this, but I'm going to cover the nuts and bolts. The land must be agricultural, like cropland, non-industrial private forest land, pasture, range, farmstead, and other associated agricultural land. If enrolling rented land, you must maintain control of it throughout the program contract period. Now, applicants have a max AGI cap, the adjusted gross income. And from what I understand, it's $450,000, but 2 people can apply, so the max is $900,000 AGI. So obviously this program is for smaller farms and smaller growers, and you must have a farm operation plan and records available. So then you create your conservation plan to solve for a resource concern and implement one or more practices. And this is because, this slide shares some of the common additional practices in addition to biochar that may be part of your conservation plan, like cover crops, reduced or no-till, crop rotation, mulching, nutrient management. So it's important to know that the biochar you use must meet a certain criteria. They have a database of approved. If you make your own biochar on site, you can. You just need to send your biochar for testing to be approved, otherwise purchase from a legit producer. You will also need to do a soil test to understand the baseline and help determine the resource concern and plan. So then comes the implementation plan. Obviously, you apply the biochar to your soil. Well, for many people, this brings up a lot of questions. Will biochar help my soil? All areas or certain parts? What types of soil does biochar benefit from? What are the qualities and the type of biochar I need for my type of soil? Which will help me meet my goals and my conservation plan? How do I apply it? And how much do I need? Because as I mentioned, not all biochars are the same. Identify your goals, find the product that meets your needs, and find the application rate that also meets your needs. Well, these are all good and common questions. The USDA has created a tool to help you answer them all in one spot. This tool is called the Pacific Northwest Biochar Atlas, basically because it started in the Pacific Northwest, but the information now can be used nationally and is rolling out nationally. In addition to general learning about biochar, the site has some pretty cool tools and features. One is a cost-benefit tool. If you want to understand either how much more money you could make using biochar related to your output, or how much money you could save on inputs. In this tool, you can enter your crop type, an estimated yield increase with biochar. Now, there's some published data on this, but not for all crops. But you can help understand the potential revenue increase, which could come from yields and also higher quality or a more resilient crop because you now have better soil health. So you can also calculate the reduction of input costs you might experience from using biochar. This could be reduction in fertilizer costs because biochar can hold nutrients and increase nutrient uptake. You could decrease mining costs and irrigation costs because biochar can increase water capacity. I mean, some biochars can hold up to 6 times their weight in water. So with this, the tool will then spit out the potential increase in revenue, decrease in costs of inputs, and costs of biochar application. But of course, if you get reimbursed through the NCRS 336, your biochar cost could be 0, and this can help calculate the other net increases in revenue or decreases in operating costs. Now, the second tool on this site is the Biochar Atlas. That's to help you understand whether your soil will benefit from biochar and potentially by how much. For the Pacific Northwest, the tool includes a soil survey map. If you put in an address or location, you can see a GIS overlay on what parts of your land may benefit from biochar. Now, it's a high-level guess and it's a start. You're still going to need to do a soil test, but it will give some insight based on contributive factors like pH, whether the soil is sandy or clay, and other things. And the third tool is related to biochar selection and application. This helps you with many of those questions that we mentioned before. So to go through this tool, in the first step, you're going to enter your soil test results. Then you put in your crop type, and then your goals related to your conservation plan or resource concerns for applying biochar. You can pick primary, secondary, and tertiary goals. Here's a list of goals that are included in the tool now. Sequester carbon, water retention, water infiltration, increase pH, decrease pH, increase nutrients, increase phosphorus, increase sulfur, increase potassium, increase calcium, increase microbial activity, reduce salts, and bind heavy metals. So when you're done with your soil test, crop type, and goals, the tool will spit out recommendations related to the qualities of biochar that will best meet your goals in your soil type, as well as recommendation on amendment rates. It's also important to know that it is highly recommended in this NCRS program that you apply biochar after it's inoculated with nutrients and minerals, for example, from compost. Now, this is a big ancillary topic with specific science behind it, but just know that often for best results, you want your biochar inoculated. If you don't inoculate and apply the biochar raw, you could get negative results. So that's the Biochar Atlas tool, and that can help you for the prep and for the plan and implementation process of your biochar within the NCRS. Of course, you could hire consultants and specialists who are specialized in the topic of biochar application. So back to the process, you now have your plan, eligibility, and implementation. What are you going to get paid? Well, from what I understand, that answer varies. The USDA has created hundreds of sample hypothetical scenarios that relate to the percentage of biochar, the application, its goals, etc., but all show a screenshot here of a sample project reimbursement, which is around $22,000 and not only includes the biochar, but the costs associated with tillage, manure and compost application, and other materials. The line items include material cost, equipment needed, power unit, and labor. So here's another broad payment list, and note that the payment rate from the NCRS is not related to the cost of the biochar you purchase per ton. The code has predetermined payment rates based on their goals and application. So here's finally a slide showing the states that have accepted the program. And although it's a federal program with federal budget that has been allocated, only 22 states have enacted the program as of the date of this video. So if you are in a state that is not listed here, the USDA encourages you to contact and rally your local representatives to adopt the program. So the seminar also communicated that growers who participate will work closely with their local NCRS field agent regarding to their plan and impending scenarios. So obviously there's a lot to this, lots of questions, lots of nuances. Many were answered in the USBI seminar that is listed in the description. I mean, it's highly probable that the program isn't perfect. I mean, what government funding program is and has aspects that either should have been thought of or weren't thought of. I mean, that's par for the course for new programs. I'm not here to say one way or the other. That is not the focus of this video. The NCRS did say that they want to take recommendations, feedback, and learnings as the program is implemented at scale, but that it will be 5 years before the code is amended. So now that we've covered the NCRS 336 on a high level, you have more information, and I hope to save you some time in determining what the program is about and how you could get paid. There's of course so much more, and I'm sorry if I botched anything. This is what I got. So on another point of discussion, it's quite interesting that the NCRS 336, what it can do for the biochar industry as a whole. I mean, however perfect or imperfect it's written, it validates biochar's ability to improve and restore soil health, soil organic carbon, and other important outcomes like binding heavy metals, sequestering carbon, and reducing irrigation needs. It not only pays farmers and growers to use biochar, but gives them an opportunity to store carbon in the ground and increase soil organic carbon year after year. Also, when less fertilizer is needed, carbon emissions are reduced from production and transport of chemical-based fertilizers that come from large factories. The NCRS 336 is also big news for the biochar market. Although the NCRS 336 does not reimburse biochar producers for the production of biochar, hopefully with the right support, make it easier to sell biochar to customers who can get reimbursed. It has the potential, if done correctly, to also create an educational framework that educates farmers and landowners about the benefits of biochar and how to use it. So I hope this helps. Hopefully I didn't completely botch too much of the program. This is based on my understanding. Hopefully it's helped save you some time. Thanks, and see you next time.